So next we have is Steve, and I'll hand
Yep.
it over to him to kind of introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Steve. I live in New York, and I take care of my mother, Josephine, who has Alzheimer's. I'm 44. I've been living at home since, obviously, I've lived in the same home since 1975 when I was born. I moved out in 2004 to New Jersey. I got married in 2008, 2007, somewhere, got divorced, moved to San Diego in 2011. And then when I was in San Diego, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I moved back home into the home in 2012 to take care of my dad, who was treating at Sloan Kettering. He lived for 4 years and he passed away in 2016. During that time, my mother, Josephine, began to exhibit the signs of the early onset of Alzheimer's, dementia, this kind of thing. And we were so concerned with my dad that it wasn't that we weren't concerned with my mother, but my father's pancreatic cancer was treating with chemotherapy. He was hospitalized for 6 months. It was a very acute case he had, and it needed our literally round the clock care. I think that the stress from the pancreatic cancer brought on the dementia, almost like a defense mechanism, because my mother and father were together so long. My mother was 16 when they met. And so they were together so long. They were married 44 years. When my dad died, they were together for 50 years when my dad died. So in a lot of ways, it was a defense mechanism, in my opinion. So anyway, I've been taking care of dad and now mom since 2012. This is now 2020, 8 years. And so, there's a lot of challenges that are involved in that. A lot of children don't even want to get involved in it. They say, listen, mom and dad, I'm on my own. You're on your own. I'm out of the house. And that's their choice. And I get that. It's not the way I was feeling. And so I moved back in knowing that it would bring challenges with it. Personal relationships are challenging. I was dating somebody in San Diego. I had moved to San Diego with her when I left the home, left the East Coast, and I had to break up with her and leave her in San Diego and essentially terminate that relationship. I still talk to her, but we're not in a relationship anymore. So that's a sacrifice. A lot of personal sacrifice comes with it. I mean, I'm in the bedroom now that I basically grew up in as an adolescent. That's the bedroom I sleep in because that's the room I'm in the house to take care of mom here. So there's, I could, of course, get my own place, but it's better to be here. My mother needs nursing care and people here, so it's good if I'm here. They do their best work when they see that I'm around. I'm not just going to leave her. So professionally, I'm an attorney. I retired last October, and I ran a law practice for 20 years. And during the caregiving process, life has to go on. Clients, they have empathy, but they need their matters addressed. And as a professional, as a lawyer, I had no choice but to go to real estate closings, go to court appearances, take testimony, and still do things for clients that were paying me to represent them. So that was challenging. And it's also difficult to maintain a focus on your profession while your father is in intensive care, and at any moment you can get a call that he didn't make it. So that's a lot to juggle. Personal relationships are tough. It's hard to have people over the house when your father is sick and your mother is sick, and it's not really conducive to privacy. It's not a lot of privacy. So going into it, you have to really understand that your ability to function as an adult is compromised. You're really secondary to the care of your parents. It's almost like having children, similar, that you're sacrificing from the outset. So if you're not the kind of person that's made up for it, or you don't feel that kind of connection with your parents, it'd be very hard to do. But my mom and dad were very good to me, and I owe my life to them. And if that's what it takes, I'm willing to give it to them. My privacy doesn't mean anything in comparison to what my mom and dad did for me as I was growing up and even as an adult. So that's the kind of mentality you have to have. But it does lead to stress, and people look for stress relief, and they rationalize stress relief in a lot of ways. I turned to alcohol and drugs because I was just so, torn, ripped apart. My whole family, my whole life was in shambles. My father, who was my hero, my leader, I was his lawyer. He was a builder, was weak. I found him on the floor a few times. I had to pick him up. It's very, very difficult to do that, to deal with that. You see your mother crying in the bedroom at night. My mother started drinking. I mean, your whole family unit disintegrates before your eyes. And, as a child, when you're growing, if you have a household that you have your heart in, your mother and your father are your, they're your everything. My mom and dad were everything to us in our family here. And so to see them start to age and then get sick and then die, it really takes a toll on you when you feel as close to them as I do, my experience. And so I try to self-medicate with alcohol and drugs, which only makes things worse. A lot of things that people really should understand, that there are better ways to deal with these. I mean, I'm removed from that now, but at the time, it's easy to get a drink or to, do drugs, whatever, because it's easy and it's enjoyable, and it takes your mind off it, it takes the edge off it. But you're only creating more problems for yourself and for your family. And that's what I've learned in a very short synopsis of my experience. So present day, mom is here. I have a hospital bed for her. She has Alzheimer's. I bought a hyperbaric chamber for my mother, where we put her in it once a day. And the hyperbaric chamber provides 95% pure oxygen into her brain. I have a mask that goes on her. It's pressurized, like when you go underwater. It's like a 10 feet under the sea kind of a thing, where it's pressurized, and so it really pressurizes as much oxygen into her system as possible. A big problem with Alzheimer's is lack of blood flow and oxygen to the brain, and that's where the hyperbaric chamber comes in. And so my stance on it, just like with my dad with the cancer, was to take an aggressive approach toward the illness. With my dad, we switched him onto an alkaline diet, a lot of juice, like healthy juices, raw vegetables, raw diet, not a lot of fatty foods, this kind of stuff. So that helped, I think, a lot. And with my mom, I believe that the chamber is helping her. She's been doing it maybe about a little bit over a month, and she seems to be doing a lot better with it. And I'm happy. I'm happy to report that cognitive function seems to be returning. She's able to talk, knows who I am, touches my face, and so she seems to be responding to it well. So there's positives.
Wow, that is amazing. In terms of, it looks like you have gone through so much, especially with caregiving for both your parents. How have you been dealing with self-care? So I know initially it was alcohol and drugs, but what have you turned to now that you've kind of removed yourself from that?
Well, I mean, I'm not a stupid person. I know what the right things to do are. So I've always been, ever since I was in, I would say, law school, I was very big into health. Maybe not so much in college. I was, smoking a lot of cigarettes and pot in college and hanging out, video games. But when I got into law school in the late 90s, I really started getting into my health a lot of exercising, I would run on the treadmill, I'd run on the track, I would do a lot of weightlifting, and I've always been athletic. I love skiing, I love swimming. I'm very good. I love running, basketball, sports, love them. So a lot of what I do is centered around exercise. I have a treadmill here in my bedroom, right next to my bed, to remind me that it's necessary. And so I think some of the things that people can do, because getting to the gym is hard. I hate going to the gym. I don't like driving there, getting dressed, talking to people. Don't like it. So I invested in a weight bench, like a universal machine. It's in one of the bedrooms here, and I have a treadmill next to my bed. So one of the things that I've centered my existence around is to remain in good health, and a lot of reasons for that. I quit drinking and doing drugs because I was getting older and I didn't want to die. I felt like that I was killing myself, and that I was. And so I transitioned into a healthy lifestyle. I know the right foods to eat. A lot of green leafy vegetables, spinach and broccoli and red peppers, and those deep colored vegetables, which are very good for you. I drink a lot of shakes. I'm not a health nut. Don't get me wrong. I will go out now. I'll eat, what I like and stuff like that. But your world has to center around a lot of exercise, sleep, water, a lot of water. Meditation, reflection, writing, reading, learning, and using the time that you are caring for somebody in a beneficial way. For instance, if my mother's in the hyperbaric chamber for an hour, I'll exercise for that hour. I'm not just going to sit there and eat a sandwich and watch The View. I don't do stuff like that. There is time given to you, and your best bet is to use that time productively, learning about the illness, learning about Alzheimer's. What are there any potential remedies that you can implement for the person's diet? What can you do for them? What stage are they at? Learn about the illness so that you can help the person that you love. And that's what my focus is to try to take those negatives and turn them into positives. Are there moments of weakness where I want to go back to that lifestyle? Sure, it's not easy, but you have to really maintain a healthy focus on yourself and say, I need to be healthy so I can help this other person. So it's a lot of health, a lot of diet, a lot of exercise, to try to stay focused and work. I work in finance now, and I have a lot of assignments that I'm involved in. And so just really focusing on the work at hand helps to, and accomplishment and achievement. My recent project here is there's a lot of clutter in the house, and I'm going room by room, clearing out the clutter. They say the clutter blocks energy. I'm big into energy and stuff like that. So I'm trying to clear the clutter out to bring some renewed energy into the home, decorating, cleaning, vacuuming. The carpets need steam cleaning. There are things you can get involved in that are positive momentum building activities that if you focus on them, will give you that sense of enrichment and accomplishment that you don't necessarily have to go to the casino or go have a drink or do drugs. There are alternatives, but it takes time to realize that. Sometimes you have to go through that negative phase to really realize that it's not the way, and there are other alternatives. Because before I did all that, while I was drinking and drugging and everything, I would laugh and I would say, people sit there and say, oh yeah, you're supposed to do yoga or reflect. And I would laugh at it. But I really think it really is most effective, that healthy lifestyle, when you've gone the dark path and you say, you know what, that's definitely not it. That's a dead end. So it's a mixed bag. It's tough. For anyone listening to it that hasn't lived it, it's really hard to feel it until you've lived it.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that whoever will be listening to this conversation is definitely going to take a lot from it, because a lot of the interviews that I've done so far, they've mentioned that self-care is a big thing that they're still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Still going through the process. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is perfect. No perfect routine has been identified. But even little things like you mentioned, cleaning and things like that, it's definitely just like a mind clearer.
Well, I believe in energy, frequency, vibration, energy, law of attraction, and the universe very deeply. And I believe that if you get up and go and you get moving, and you the universe sees that you're doing, you're gonna get back what you put out there. So if you lay in bed and you say, woe is me, I'm heartbroken, I'm depressed, my mom is dying, my dad is dying, that's what you're going to bring back. That's scarcity, that's lack. That's what you're putting out there, and that's what's going to come back to you. But if you say, I'm going to clear out all the negative, and I'm going to bring in, I'm going to clear out space for the positive to come in, that's what's going to come in. I'm very religious as well, and I was raised Catholic, and one of the preachers I watch on TV, his name is Joel Osteen, and he says you have to continue to do the right thing even though the wrong thing is happening. You can't just sit there and say the wrong things are happening and I'm going to go now down that path. Keep doing the right thing. Just keep doing the right thing no matter what. And at the end of the day, the right things will start to happen. You have to believe that from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed. And listen, we all have moments of weakness. I have them. I get weak. I just had a personal relationship with my girlfriend that's come to a flaming end. It's awful. I'm heartbroken. But you have to be strong in this life. John Kennedy said, he goes, don't ask for an easier life, ask to be a stronger person. Mm-hmm. And so that's how you have to look. It's your viewpoint on life that really makes everything. So you have to start here and say that this is the way I'm going to approach this. I'm going to succeed. And there's nothing that's going to stop me from my goal. And whatever happens along the way, I'm just going to shake it off. That's it. That's the mentality.
And in terms of support, it looks like you seem like you have your life together, at least now. At least you're going in the right direction now. Did you reach out to other caregivers for support? How did you go about this when your mom was first diagnosed, as well as how is it now in terms of just identifying other people to talk to about this experience?
Well, my mother was originally being treated at NYU in New York City, Langone. And they offered a lot of support. They introduced us to other caregivers, and we were able to interact with them, go to meetings, go to groups, and find out some of the tips that might have put us in the right direction. There's a lot of literature, obviously, out there about Alzheimer's. I have a good family. My aunt lives next door. My mother's sister lives right next door. And so she's a very big part of the